love flowers. My mom was a florist. I have a little funny story I want to kind of start with before going right into it. So I'm going to talk about roses today. It's the most ironic thing in the world because I actually, when I first started in this business, way back when my mom had a flower shop, I told her straight up, I said, I hate roses. It's the most basic flower. It's so douchey. You know, you go into a grocery store, you have a red rose with some baby's breath, and all your boyfriends gift it to you, and they think that they're great and like amazing. I'm like, no, I hate it. It has thorns. It's basic. I don't like it. So I started going towards the exotics. So I'm like, oh, I love orchids, and I love anthuriums, and all these exotic flowers. And 10 years later, I am obsessed with roses. I will never, ever say anything bad about roses anymore. Because in my mind, it's kind of like it's just so classic and it's so versatile. It listens to you when you work with it. It is one of the longest flower that can last, besides the tropical flowers that last long, but you can manipulate it in your designs. There's shapes and sizes, and it's just incredible. I will never talk bad about you again. So it's like literally, it's so ironic. So that's why I talk about roses. A lot of my designs are with roses. So there you go. So I kind of started this workshop with the idea to tell you 5 kind of great things you can do with roses. Because let's admit it, we go to the grocery store, we walk by a flower market, we grab a dozen roses, 6 roses, whatever. And then we come home and they look like this. And we like take some, some leaves, whatever, because people told us to take leaves. We don't even know why. Maybe we do know, but I'll tell you why. And we just put it in the water, and this is how it looks like. Who did that? Who does that? Okay, well, I'll tell you. So it's a great start. Quickly, super quick. The reason why, I know people say cut 45-degree angle, remove the leaves and all that kind of stuff because it mutes the water. So my biggest thing when it comes to the leaves, the reason why I personally love removing the leaves, maybe just up to the top, is because there is over 35, sometimes to 55 petals in a rose. It needs water to open. The more obstacles you have here, it will not open to its full capacity, ever. It will just not have enough water. The reason why we don't like the leaves here, because then those leaves, if they fall and they create yucky situation in the water, it will block the pores. So the pores won't be able to drink. That's why we ask you to cut it on 45-degree angle. So the water will go smoothly up into the petal. Basically, it's a little rose 101, right? Now, designers started going a little bit step ahead. And what they started doing this technique. I'm sure you've seen it. If not, I will tell you. It's called reflexing, which means it's just bringing the petal on the opposite kind of direction. So I have some roses here. I don't know if you want to touch flowers, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to give you a rose, because why not? Let's just play with it. The rose that you have is the most kind of coveted, not coveted, I don't want to say basic, but I don't want to say coveted, but it's the most popular bridal rose. It's called the Vandella rose. Another one is Playa Blanca, but the one I have for you now is the Vandella rose. And we're going to reflex it together. There you go. I don't know if anybody's coming, but I'll leave it here. Okay. Vandella. Vandella rose, yes. It's a very true cream rose. Not white, it's not yellow, it doesn't have a green tint. It's a very, very true cream rose. So let's do a little bit more one-on-one on rose. Your outside petals can be bruised, can be damaged from transport. They might have some moisture in it, so it might be a little bit rotten on the outside. Their job is literally to protect the flower, to protect the rest of the petals. Take them out. It might be 3, how many you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals until you get to the clean. Now they're clean petals. So just remove, don't worry, just remove 5, 6 petals all around until you get to the nice and smooth rose. And if you look at the petal shape is kind of concave. It has a little bump on the bottom. So what we want to do is we want to bring our thumb all the way to the bottom of that bump, press on it, and what will happen? You will reflex it backwards. So a lot of people, we have designers that literally hire people just to reflex roses. They sit, all they do is reflex hundreds and hundreds of roses because designers need to design with them. Some do it, some don't. I mean, the whole point is that, you know, you go from something like this to something like this. So it's kind of your choice, right? Do you want to do it? Do you not? It looks complete. It's also interesting because you can use like this and like this. It creates a texture and depth. So you can reflex some and some are not, right? So what I want to do is I want to design with you. I just took a vase here. You can have it at home. But you're going to get your grocery flowers. So I'm going to design with this yellow sunshine rose. And what I did here in my vase, I taped it with water. I know that some designers, this is very eco-friendly way right now. We use a lot of chicken wire, but it's a clear vase, so I'm obviously not doing that. That's one way to design. Another way is with oases. Great news, they were really bad for environment. We're coming out with coconut fiber oasis, which is amazing, and it's recyclable and, you know, biodegradable, which is awesome as well. So we're literally gonna go ahead and tape our vase, crisscross, applesauce. Why we do that? We do that to make sure that we have some sort of a web to put our flowers in. If you have enough flowers, so for example here, I have 50 roses, so 25 bunches in each color, maybe a little bit less oranges. So if you have enough roses, you can create the web with the stems if you're, you know, a good designer, or, you know, I'm sure you guys all are, but if not, you can help yourself with that. So you literally would go in. How are you guys doing with reflexing? Are you enjoying it? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on it? Okay, so are you going deep? Okay, one thing, these flowers have only drank one day, so they have to get a little bit more moisture, right? I got fresh flowers from you. Another thing, if they crunch a little bit, that just means that for some roses, you have to go a little bit more deep, so a little bit down. Don't do it just here. You have to go more in. Did you know that the rose was one of 3 flowers that were mentioned in the Bible? The other 2 flowers were the lily and the henna flower, the flower in the grass that makes the henna. That's it. And then it's the rose. Rose is the one flower that in Greek mythology is also mentioned. And in the United States, they grew a rose in diameter of over 1.5 meters. Like if you're looking at this rose, right? Like how many inches is this? 2 or 3? Imagine a meter. Like that's how ginormous that rose. I looked at it up. Look it up after on Google. It's fabulous. The other thing I want to tell you, I just started growing garden roses in my backyard. David Austin Rose. He's one of the most coveted creators of roses. And I want to say that I lost my sense of smell for flowers after I started working with them. I don't smell, like people go into the studio like, oh my God, you must love me every day. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I don't smell anything. I swear to God, it's like I had COVID all the time. But the only time I actually smell the scent and the perfume of a rose is on garden roses. It's the most incredible thing you will ever smell. If you have a chance to even go to a garden center and look for David Austin garden rose, it's just incredible. So again, I'm just going to do something simple, something that you can do for your dining table. We have lots of parties happening right now in the summer. Why not have a little rose party, you know, throw a baby shower, bridal shower for your friends, I don't know. So going back to my story with my mom, I told her I'm never going to be a florist. I told her that I will never be dealing with flowers. I told her that's for, for people that have a flower shop and sit there with an apron. I'm not that person. So I started doing events. I started doing weddings, events. We started doing collaborations here in Yorkville. We work with brands and corporations and private clients and stuff like that. And then those clients are saying, Margarita, I love how you work with flowers. Can you please do some flowers here? And it's like, I can't get away with it. I can't get away from it. So I said, okay, God, I hear you. And like I said, it's all meant to be, right? So because I kind of thought of what the name of the company is, and the one thing I always loved in my life was flowers, even though I didn't want to work with them. But that's how our name came to be. So my philosophy in everything that I do, in home designing, and floral designing, and event creation and design, is that it has to be beautiful. I will never do something half-assed. You should never do that as well, even at your house, even when you work with flowers. And I always battle with that because I know that flowers are just beautiful on their own. And I feel that when you design, you force, right? When you design, regardless of how you look at it, even if you do an organic design, you still make them look like what you want, not what they're meant to be. It's like a little artistic philosophy, but that's the magic of it. I feel like that's the magic because you create beauty with either greenery or plants or cactuses or whatever freshness that is out there. For me, it's just these roses. So I'm probably going to go around, place them. Something that can be at your dining table, at your foyer table, whatever. I mean, I want to reiterate, I want to say that it's not like putting a bunch of flowers from the grocery store is not good. I'm not saying that. The flowers will still make you feel amazing, how they always do. Flowers is probably the next luxury after time, because you're purchasing something that you know will die in 5 to 7 days, and yet you still do that because your psyche and your emotion, you love it. There's no explanation. It's the same feeling when you go and you touch the grass with your toes. It's the same feeling. So what I'm trying to say, grocery flowers are nice, but if you can come and kind of do this, you'll be the talk of the party, and you'll be proud of yourself that you did it. So I love that. I don't know. So there is this designer in San Francisco, Karen Tran. She's very, very popular. She does huge, crazy events. So she's the one who I learned this from many years ago. And she has, like I said, a person on staff a lady who just sits there and reflexes flowers like that. And there's a picture of her in like rows and rows of probably like 5,000, 10,000 just buckets of flowers. Just it's insane. And it's a beauty to behold. Imagine the scent in that room. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Do you have any questions, ladies? Yeah. What happened is, if the flower cracks like it happened here, it would. So for an event, for a one-day event, it should be okay. But you can even try it at home. You can crack one. Obviously, it makes sense, right? If it's cracked here, even if it's folded a little bit, it will be more wilty than the other ones. So it does, yes. Okay, did you have a question? Yeah. That is actually just clear tape. Yep. Yes, it is. Yep. I went basic today. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Really, I mean, some things I vouch for that has to be floral equipment, floral scissors, or things like that. Best clippers are Japanese clippers. I bring them all the time. They're just something about that is crazy. These are not them. This is actually from Oasis. So, but when I did have, so I don't know. And you know what's funny? I always talk about this. It's so fluffy. I feel like when you do your hair and how you move your hair in the mirror, that's when you design with this, the same way that you design with this. When they're not reflexed, it's almost like you can't really do anything with them. You can't create the movement. Once they're like that, you can even, I don't know, you can just do other things. You can, you know, it's just when you start moving things around and having things come out longer, just make sure that you don't cut the stem before. So like the way that I did right now, when I went and I cut it and then I placed it, unless you need to know where you're placing it first, right? So like send back, I'm like, okay, there's a lot here. I want to bring some here. You know it's going to be longer. Don't cut it before. First reflex it and then design with it. Now it's a little bit, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit tighter here versus here, obviously. There's a lot more space for me to work here and come out if I wanted to. Here was a little bit kind of a tighter diameter. So if I want to have roses come out in different directions, they will have to not be put like this. I will have to angle them a little bit, yeah. Next thing, I want to kind of be green, right? Meaning that, look at all my flowers, so all my petals that I have still. And then maybe as the flowers kind of wilt in, I don't know, 4 days, you cut them, you put them back, you cut them, put them back. Why don't make a little potpourri for yourself? So you just go in, you crunch them to get the perfume out. Try it with the rose that you have. So literally take the head, you're going to get rid of the inside. Try it with, I know you might want to try it, but okay, you don't want to destroy it. But literally you're going to take it, it's already like on its last breath. You're going to crunch it up. I'm sure we all have little bags or organza bags. We're going to put it in and we're going to put it in our lingerie drawer. We're going to have an amazing scent. So what, and then it dries and then it's literally like lavender, right? So that's the next thing we can do. The third thing I wanted to tell you, I know it's a party season, so, and as an event designer as well, tabletop is really important for me. So one of the things that you can accessorize your tabletop, you have a birthday party, you have a celebration outside on a patio, and you need to kind of finish off your table, reflex a rose, cut it softly, right at the bum, right there at the stem, and place it for each individual table setting, right? I think that's so beautiful. Then, let's say we don't want to do the potpourri. Fine, we don't have to do it. We have a bunch of our flowers, and let's say they died. Okay, they died, or again, they're like at 90%, okay? We want to dry them. So we're going to take them all in a bunch. We're going to put them all well, I like putting them together where the stems meet each other. Okay, and you need to try to get to this stage before the head falls over, okay? Then it's gonna dry like that. That's what we don't want. We wanna get them drying facing down. Gravity down. We're gonna tie them with a rubber band, which I was supposed to prepare, but I didn't. And we're gonna hang them. Doesn't matter where, just not in the bathroom, obviously, there's lots of moisture. Just hang them, let them dry. And once they dry, I haven't actually tried drying one like this. I'm presuming, I don't know, it will be interesting to try to dry it like that. But we're gonna dry them like this. And then what you can do, and what I usually do, is I go ahead and I spray my rose. So this one is a fresh rose, and I was in a hurry, but I went ahead and I sprayed it in gold. So just so you have an idea, imagine all of these roses. I know that they're all dried, and I know that they're probably very crumbly. We won't be touching them. We were literally just gonna take them, and we're gonna spray them with a gold spray. that will do two things. It will give us obviously coloring of any shape or form, and then it will give us kind of like a glue form. It will hold it together, right? So then it will protect it, and you'll be able to, it won't crumble as much. Like any preserved or dried flower, please don't put it near moisture or sunlight. It will make it more it will die much faster. So what I like to do with my dried flowers, either have them dried if I love the color. If I don't love the color, I will go ahead and I will spray it. Also really great for Christmas or Thanksgiving if you want to add a little metallic. And then, let's say it's something, a blush rose or something, and your vibe is vintage, I would just have them in bud vases on the vanity. So there's just so many things that you can do in a life of a rose. It doesn't just have to be, here you go, psh, water, okay, a week later, bye, died. You can get creative with it. So another thing you can do with a dried rose, after you dried them, you sprayed them, you treated them. If you don't want to spray them, but you want to treat them, you can do it either with a floral spray or with hairspray. Or if you don't have that, and you do a lot of DIY, and you have a spray glue, you can do that as well. There is a glue spray that you can use, and that will be keeping it really nicely together. The last thing I guess I can tell you about roses, I don't know if you're big into wreaths, but wreaths are like, you can do dried wreaths with pampas grass. It's really popular right now. Just take a wreath from any floral store or dollar store, and you can literally glue this and create your own design. So this can last you for like the journey of these. Like I went from the freshest to the middle to the drying to the preserved. People go as far as actually using a, I know the name for it, an acrylic form where you can actually kind of have them in a shape, and you can, like brides, sometimes when brides want to commemorate their bridal bouquet, they will dip it in either a wax or some sort of acrylic substance, and they will keep it forever. It's kind of like a keepsake. So yes, so I told you roses are resilient. So that's my little one-on-one on roses with you today. I don't know if you have any questions for me, let me know.